Food in anime always manages to look really, really, really good. From platters of perfectly made sushi to tantalizing bowls of ramen with thinly sliced chashu, long, chewy noodles kept warm by an umami-filled broth, and some downright sexy eggs. Wait, sexy eggs? Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, I get it. Food in anime has been tempting audiences for decades. I mean, even the cream stew Brock makes in Pokemon, something most of you might not even consider anime, looks pretty tasty. But why does food take such a central role in so many anime? So before we get into that, let's take it back to the history of food in anime. In the 1980s, Japan's economy was booming, and a new genre of manga, food manga, started to make its way into the spotlight. Oishimbo was one of the first. It follows the culinary adventures of journalists Shiro Yamamoka and Yuko Kurita as they eat their way through Japanese cuisine. The series delves into the history of Japanese cooking, exploring the varieties of sake, how to prepare perfect rice, celebrating simplicity over fanciness, and finding the soul of ramen. When you go into that much detail, you can bet that the food is really well drawn. Tetsukariya, Oishimbo's author, has strong opinions about food. He even defended eating whale meat. I personally have never tried it, but I heard it's like butter. So you can bet the food in Oishimbo, though drawn in black and white, is detailed, realistic, and absolutely mouth-watering. Anime adaptations of food manga like Oishimbo and Mr. Ajiko helped put food anime on the map, particularly cooking battle anime. There's even speculation that Mr. Ajiko, which is basically Food Wars without the foodgasms, influenced the popular live-action cooking battle series Iron Chef. So thank you, Mr. Ajiko, for maybe giving us Iron Chef, and in turn, this guy. But enough about history, let's go into food anime and all the delicious food it gives us. Now, the real star of the show has always been Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli managed to take hold of our stomachs with Laputa Castle in the Sky back in 1986. First, there's the meatball soup Pazu orders for his boss in the mines. The ladle overflowing with steaming meatballs and vegetables. I don't even like vegetables, but that looks delicious. Then there's the egg toast Pazu and Shida share. I mean, look at that thick toast and those perfectly fried eggs. So it's understandable that Pazu and Shida scarf it down. The scene is so enticing that every year when they broadcast a movie on Japanese television, there's a spike in tweets featuring egg toast, which makes sense because the scene is so iconic that the dish itself is known as Laputa toast in Japan. In Latin America, that doesn't work. I'm sorry guys, I'm Latina. Laputa means something else. And sure, it's literally just an egg on toast, but when you watch that scene, you just gotta have some. And chances are you have those ingredients in your kitchen at this very moment. Go ahead. Make it. This whole episode could basically be a love letter to the food in Studio Ghibli. I mean, the thick slices of meat in Ponyo's ramen, the bacon and eggs in Howl's Moving Castle, and the golden brown herring and pumpkin pie from Kiki's delivery service are all great examples of anime food that'll make your stomach rumble. I mean, when was the last time you saw herring and you were like, herring's delicious, I've really been craving that. But I bet you wanted some of that pie. And of course, Spirited Away is full of iconic food scenes. Ghibli's not alone with its deliciously animated food. In Miss Koizumi Loves Ramen Noodles, the protagonist experiments with pineapple ramen, green ramen, and regional varieties. Like Oshimbo, Miss Koizumi Loves Ramen Noodles is educational too, giving a little history lesson as Miss Koizumi eats her way across Japan. And yep, that pineapple ramen place actually exists. In fact, just like with Laputa toast, there was a spike in mentions about the ramen joint Ipuro when Koizumi-san went there. And then there's Food Wars. That show doesn't only render food in loving detail, but when the buck-wild cooking battles and over-the-top tastings die down, we get to see Soma and his pals craft mouth-watering dishes. The show puts a lot of care into getting the dishes just right, from the tools and techniques used to prepare them to the smallest details in the food itself. Ribbons of fat in Wagyu beef, perfectly crispy tempura, steaming rice, and springy souffle. Does any show compare to Food Wars in its appreciation of food? The characters' clothes literally explode off them in glee, and even the most buttoned-up characters succumb to umami goodness. Like with Food Wars and Ms. Koizumi, cooking anime can put the spotlight on food in ways no other animated shows do. You can watch Amano Ichigo fill pastry shells and carefully pipe them with cream in Yumeiru Patissiere. You can get close-ups of different izakaya food with Murasaki Wakako in Wakako Zake. Restaurant to Another World celebrates Japanese cooking by feeding it to dragons and demons alike. And My Love Story shows that food really is the way to a person's heart heart. Every single detail, from red beans slowly dripping down a pile of shaved ice to a steak sizzling in its juices, is delectably rendered. However, as we've seen in Studio Ghibli films, it doesn't need to be a food anime for the food to look appetizing. The pork cutlet bowl known as katsudon in Yuri on Ice gets as much love from the animators as it does from Yuri. Choose practically any non-food anime, I guarantee there's a moment where you saw some sexy-ass dish and immediately wanted to eat it. The omelet from the Garden of Words is another good example. Then there's Hot Pot Showdown from The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. I can relate to the painfully pleasant staring of spicy food. Oh, what about the gleaming takoyaki from Assassination Classroom? Or anytime a bento box appears. Even our producer Adrian mentioned that while he was watching Fate's Day Night, it was the way Cade was eating mapo tofu that made him order it for lunch the next day.
It's true, I did.
Oh, I believe you. I'm hungry right now. Can we get no lunch? I mean, we should have some examples to share. Even though it's not anime, I have to mention the Japanese classic Tampopo, a live-action film that celebrates ramen and those who love it. It has an extended scene about the right way to eat ramen noodles, and then there's that whole suggestive egg scene. See? I told you, eggs can be sexy. So why is food so important in anime? Based on my extensive research and obsession with food, I found a few reasons why food always looks delicious in anime. First, there's the viewer's expectation of high-quality animation, especially the Japanese audience. This means every detail needs to be right, including the food. Sakuga, or drawing skill, is very important to anime fans. Drawing mouth-watering food is pretty hard, so if artists can do that, they'll gain fans and the show will be well received. Or the opposite of that. In fact, Yoake mai yori rurirona quickly became a meme because of a badly drawn cabbage. Anime fans were not here for a poorly drawn cabbage. When it came out on DVD, the cabbage had been redrawn to look more like an actual cabbage. And, you know, less like a green jawbreaker or one of those science projects about the Earth's layers. The stakes are clearly very high here, okay? Then there's Japanese food culture itself. It's ingrained into Japanese society. Washoku is the name for traditional Japanese food culture. This principle defines all the rules and customs surrounding the production and processing of Japanese food that have been around for centuries. Did you know that washoku was added to UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity? Not just because of the customs around it, but in particular osechi, or the meal preparations for celebration of the New Year in Japan. That basically means that Japanese food became part of food royalty. Mad props for that one. Each year, Japan celebrates seasonal food with festivals. Everything from mochi to oysters have their own dedicated celebrations. Even kitchen utensils are steeped in culture. Celebrity chef Bobby Flay once insulted fellow celebrity chef Masaharu Morimoto by standing on a cutting board after finishing a cooking competition. Morimoto was pissed because, as he said, in Japan, the cutting board is sacred. Why would you do that, Bobby Flay? Why? Who hurt you? Religion is another important factor in Japan's love of food. In Shintoism, there's a belief that there is kami in everything. Simply put, kami means spirits or spiritual essence. Kami can reside in anything: trees, flowers, animals, even people. So when it comes time to worship a particular kami, putting out beautiful, well-prepared food is the best offering. With a history as long as Japan's, tradition and love for food is bound to be baked into all of its media. That was witty. Baked into its meat. Okay, I'm done. Sorry. Yo, even Western food looks amazing in anime. Certainly better than it often looks in Western animation. Pizza is animated with cheese pulls that would make Michelangelo drool. Hamburgers are juicy. Even the pasta looks like something you might find while strolling the side streets of Venice. Food is no joke, no matter where it's from. And, you know, don't get me wrong, it's not to say Western animators don't appreciate food. There's the Together breakfast from Steven Universe, Jake's famous sandwich from Adventure Time, Bob's Burgers, SpongeBob's Krabby Patties, Ron Stoppable's Knuckle. But for some reason, the food just doesn't look as good, or nearly as detailed. What gives? The closest answer I could find is from none other than the creator of The Simpsons himself, Matt Groening. In an episode of a podcast called The Sporkful, Groening and a few other folks said that technology has just gotten better, so they can animate better looking food. Sure, there's not the same amount of detail in Steven's Together breakfast compared to an anime, but trust me, it looks much better than food from earlier cartoons. So perhaps the painstaking attention to detail in Japan explains amazing, realistic food in anime, where in Western animation they assume the audience just gets it. Ooh, jelly donut. So it all goes back to the question, why is food so important in anime? Simply put, it's because food is important to and a part of all Japanese culture. I'm so hungry. If you have a favorite food moment in anime, please leave it in the comments below. I'm Cristal, and this is Getting the Robot, your anime explainer.